Hi, first and second graders. Today we're going to draw a fall scene. So we want to make sure that our paper is horizontal, so it's a bathtub, not shower, so it's the long way. And what we're going to do first is we're going to divide our paper into 4 different sections. And so I'm going to find about halfway on the top of my paper, and I'm going to very, very lightly draw a line from the top of my paper to the bottom. It's okay if it's a little wavy. It doesn't have to be too terribly straight. And then I'm going to come on the side of my paper and I'm going to find about halfway this way. And I'm going to very, very lightly draw a line that goes from this side of the paper to this side of the paper. Okay, so now I have 4 different sections. That's going to help us draw our picture the right way. Okay, so my first step now, I'm going to start right over here on this line, and I'm going to make a bush, and I'm just going to make a bouncy line here, starting here, and it's slowly going to jump down to the bottom of my paper. See how I didn't touch this line here in the middle? I was still over this way. Okay, so as long as you didn't touch that line, you're okay. Alright, so I did a bump, 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 bump to the bottom of my paper. Alright, then I'm going to start right up here on this bump, and I'm going to jump all the way over to this corner and curve down. Okay, so I went straight and then curved down. The next step, I'm going to start here, over here, kind of right in the middle of this line right here on this side. And I'm going to draw a vertical line that goes up and just goes right past this line, just a little bit. Then I'm going to do one on this side, goes up, and then here I'm going to make like a check mark. So I'm going to go down and then up to this side. Okay, kind of looks like a giant M. Okay, then I'm going to start below this line. Okay, and I'm going to make another bumpy line from the top of my tree. So I'm going to go bump, bump, and these are big giant bumps. They're not little bumps, they're big giant bumps. And I'm going to run off of my paper. Then I'm going to start down here and I'm going to do bump, bump, and run off my paper on that side too. My next step, I'm going to come back over to this bush and I'm going to start right here. I'm not starting way up here on top of this bump. I'm going to start on that second bump there. And I'm just going to bump, bump, bump down to this line here. Okay? Now we're going to draw some leaves. And we're going to try and make these leaves look like they're kind of blowing off of the tree towards us. So we're going to draw a really big leaf up here in this rectangle here. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bump. So I started here and it's like a little rainbow, a crooked rainbow, okay? And then I'm going to finish and then come back up here. It kind of looks like a football, doesn't it? So I'm going to bump nice and big, and then I'm going to come back up like a football. All right? And then I'm going to start here and I'm going to kind of follow that line and do another one right underneath it. And then I can add a little stick on the end there for my leaf. Okay? Look at how big that is. It takes up a pretty big space. Then here, touching this line, I'm going to get a little bit smaller. I'm going to bump this way. And I'm going to kind of draw a straight line back to it. And then below that, I'm going to draw another little bump like I did on this side. Okay, so I have two big leaves that are kind of blowing off of that tree. And I'm going to add a bunch more, and you can kind of decide where you want to put these. You can put some down here. I'm going to just do a bump straight across and then bump below. It's a little bit smaller than this one, so I have a big, middle-sized, a little bit smaller, and then this one's going to be going this way, and you can make them go different directions. And I'm going to draw another little one here. If you make them different sizes, it looks like they're blowing off the tree at different places. And you can do some on the tree. Like they're blowing off. And a little bitty one here. And maybe one down here. And you can look at the picture when I'm done with the video on the screen that shows you where you can put all of these leaves too. And I'm going to draw one more right there. Okay. So then you can add a little bit of texture to your bushes and your grass and your tree. And so those, I'm just going to add some more bumpy lines to make it look like a fluffy bush. So I'm going to go bump, bump, bump. And I'm going to go bump, 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 bump. I'm going to put a couple bumps here. And I'm going to put some spiky grass. So I'm going to change that to a zigzag line instead of a bumpy line. And then I'm going to put a couple little bumps on my tree. Okay. When you're done drawing this, what you can do is you can outline with crayon all of the lines we made. But you want to maybe use the colors that you're going to want to use for these leaves. So if I'm going to trace the bark of my tree, this tree trunk, I would use a brown crayon to trace. I'm not going to color it, I'm just going to trace it. And then for my hill and my bushes, I would probably use a green crayon or a yellow crayon. Maybe it's already changing to those fall colors. And I would outline, not color, with green or yellow. Same with those leaves. If you want it to be like a pretty red or yellow tree that these, or orange, that these leaves are changing because it's autumn, you can trace with orange or red or yellow. You can kind of decide which colors you want to do. All right. When you're done tracing all of those, you can use colored pencil, or you can use more crayon to color all of that in. And then you'll be all done.